You're listening to the Slavic Literature Pod, your shelf help guide to all things Slavic. I'm Cameron Lalana.
And I'm Matt Gerasimovich.
And today we're covering Part 1, Chapter 51 of Vasily Grossman's Life and Fate, what we've been calling the Grossman GPT chapter, which maybe is a little bit glib considering what it's about. But the basic idea is Grossman imagining a machine which can recreate a single human being and imagining how vast that machine must be. Give him a break. Microchips hadn't been invented yet. And all that just to recreate a normal human being and then contrast that against how many people were destroyed by the fascist war machine. Where would you like to begin?
Where to begin with my favorite chapter? It really is one of my favorite ones. I feel like it's very resonant today, which is why I dubbed it the Grossman GPT chapter. Just because there is, for as long as I can remember, just this absolute technology fetish over reproducing things that humans can do. And some of it is great. A lot of it actually is great. Super helpful stuff sometimes. You know, maybe we can eliminate all mathematics. That would be wonderful for me personally. But you know, it doesn't really like we talk about this all the time. It doesn't replicate what a human does. In essence, it's fundamentally different. You can calculate whatever you want. It's not the same as a human. And this is what Grossman is kind of playing with, that not even what it does, but what it is, in order to replicate all that is to be human is essentially impossible. It is an ever-expanding project that, yes, Grossman didn't think about microchips, but honestly, even with microchips, right? Like, it takes so much to replicate every single feeling and memory and everything he goes through in this chapter. Just a kind of short paragraph there with the ellipses between every childhood memories, tears of happiness, the bitterness of parting, all of this and these ellipses, so that you kind of feel that absence of what that machine lacks in some way. That there's so much in those ellipses between pairings of words in this chapter that you never are going to get to know what is being described, right? And it is, like I said, an ever-expanding project. It will never fully come to fruition. And then Grossman kind of, he's pointing out that this is just for like an average, an inconspicuous human, not even someone like us, like someone great, Napoleons of their era, for instance. Not that I don't think Grossman would really differentiate, inconspicuous versus great, but that's a side point. Then the chapter ends, of course, on the line, "Fascism annihilated tens of millions of people." And so I think it's a further probe into what it means to destroy one life. And to think that a machine would have to sprawl the entire face of the earth to even have a chance at replicating one life, well, then the death of these tens of millions of people is literally incomprehensible, and we will never be able to comprehend what that loss truly is, outside of just statistic, basically. That's where I wanted to start.
I feel like that really covers it. I mean, even if you wanted to be really nitpicky about, Grossman hypothesizes about how much it would take to do that. And I think we're at a point in time where we could imagine feasibly, not in the near future, but the idea of maybe a machine that replicates human emotion. Let's take it theoretically. I don't think we're actually anywhere near there, but I think we're closer to the idea than we certainly were in Grossman's day. But even if we are, the amount of work, energy, resources it takes to just create an average human being in a machine, even if we did create one that, unlike, our current programs, unlike our current, I'm going to call it false AI, because we've really adopted the AI term because everyone knows it from science fiction for things that are not really what science fiction are describing. even if that were to somehow be transmitted into a real form of AI, that the amount of work it took to get there to replicate, as you said, the average human being is just almost incomprehensible. And you know, the amount of work and the amount of human effort and the amount of things we'd have to remember in order to create that up against one lost life and up against 10 million lost lives is incomprehensible. So I think even if we want to you want to get nitpicky about Grossman's description of technology, getting away from the literal meaning of what he's saying and getting into kind of what we're trying to convey here still holds up without reservation, without qualification.
Yeah, not only that, but I don't know how to exactly put it, but it sounds so dumb and reductive to say, but basically, like, even if you do have a really complex machine, like we do have some really complex things today that, compared to even like 5 years ago are quite advanced, but if they were destroyed, it wouldn't be some great loss for all of humanity, not by any stretch of the imagination. And so that's obviously not the case for the lives that are, as he says, annihilated under fascism. That is a big loss. That is how do I say? It's something. It being organic and kind of in the same way as this machine as he envisions it sprawling out, the life continues to sprawl out every second, and so to have that cease is what is quite sad and difficult to envision. But for a machine, right, it's only really it's only replicating, it's only calculating, it's not creating in the same way. I don't think you'll ever be able to convince me that it is. Um, we'll see. Bitcoin Twitter accounts with the red glowing eyes chime off in the chat.
Right. Well, I mean, even if we engage with that idea, for example, like I don't know if you've ever seen Ghost in the Shell, but or it's like AI where they ask that question, what does it mean to be human and could a machine ever be human? I think and this is unfortunately a line of questioning I'm going to take from a very pulpy sci-fi novel, but even the best created machine, even the best replication of a human in the end is going to be purpose built. It's going to be created for a reason. I mean, we can think of like a research model that might have an open end, but even that's the purpose is towards research, right? Every machine that is built, even in this theoretical machine that perfectly replicates a human, will have its purpose. And if it's destroyed, the main thing that will happen is that its purpose will no longer be carried out. Whereas you compare that to a human who, even the most inconspicuous person, has unlimited potential for anything. There is no purpose to that human being's existence. And for some people, that might be terrifying. It's terrifying to me. That being said, that also leaves unlimited ability for that human being to impact human life in whatever way they want, as big as a Napoleon or as small as having a positive impact on one life around you. That's one thing that hasn't been designed, and that's the kind of thing that was destroyed by the fascist war machine.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think like in order for this is still again it's a separate subject, but maybe Grossman would agree with me that to develop this technology, like you said, it has purpose. It has some value that is linked to the purpose it serves. Whereas human life, and this is what Grossman I think is arguing in a lot of the book, it just has intrinsic value, kind of no matter what it does. Uh, Plenty of people that are both good and bad. There's not really good guys and bad guys in Grossman's work. I mean, there's acts of evil, but that sort of layer of humanity still exists under all of it. And that is, I don't know. I think that's why I like this chapter a lot. It feels kind of relevant to a lot of the debates that are going on now. And if everybody read Vasily Grossman, I think that society would be in a better spot.
Well, that will be the next step for this project once we complete the
We're gonna
daily
force
read
you to
along.
read Vasily Grossman. That's what he would have wanted.
When he described everyone kind of coming together and being able to reflect the world in their own ways, what he meant was he wanted to put everyone in one big classroom and read only Grossman, only his
Hmm.
work, and that's kind of the beginning and end of that one.
Yes, and I look forward to that day.
Well, until then, I think maybe we've got a couple other things to talk about first, like maybe the Battle of Stalingrad, but who
Hmm.
knows?
Hmm. Who knows? I will. In that case, you will hear from us again soon.